Okay, Natalie, this is for you. When you were doing the cast on for your scarf, and you were there was at one point you were talking about how do people cast on, and you were doing the long tail, and then you remembered your mother, or when you were a child, whoever, teaching you to do the, just kind of the, looks like a blanket stitch once it's on the hook. I wanted to show you, see if I can get better on camera, show you a better, well, I think better anyways, it's a relative, isn't it? Okay, how nasty, wait, where's my thumb? How nasty does that look? I've been dyeing today, and when you do blues and purples, it doesn't look so bad. But when you do browns, looks really bad. Okay, I'm going to show you right here. Let's see if I get a better spot. Okay, I've got my back to the camera here. The other way to do it, I am a picker, so I'll do wrapping, but for those pickers, I'll show you. If you find yourself going, oh, I like doing the long tail because it's so quick and I could just go like that and I get another thing on and it's so quick, and then you think, dang, I wanted to do 200 cast-ons and I only got 20. Okay. Anyways, but you get the idea. Okay, so then what you would do, and you could do this when adding on to a garment, say if you wanted to do a sweater without piecing in the sleeves, if you wanted to make it like a raglan sleeve, or what's that other, how'd they call it? You know how the t-shirts will just be one piece? Anyways, if you want to do a sweater like that, what you do, I'm trying to turn my back to the camera, see if I can do this. I'll do it picking, then I'll do it wrapping. You take a stitch as if you were to stitch off, and then put it back on the needle. Take a stitch as if to stitch off, and then put it back in the needle. What this does, as opposed to the wrapping that's kind of like a blanket stitch that you were showing you did as a child, this gives you that well, it's looking cockeyed here. This gives you that knitted row like the long tail does. So you get the same stretch and you don't have the funky tension, the odd tension that you get from just wrapping it. Here's it wrapping. And I'll do it backwards for those people that are left-handed. Okay, I'm trying to think what angle is best. Okay, I'm trying to do it right. Here I'm going to wrap it around the right needle, tuck it under if I was knitting, but then put it back on the hook. Okay, go up as if I'm knitting, wrap it around, and then trying to look at the screen and my needle at the same time. Wrap it around, and then put it back on the hook. Okay, do it again. Put the needle in, wrap it around, put it back on the hook. Of course, this is slower than long tail, but what this does, if you get to the end of a long tail and you've tried to cast on 200 or 10 stitches or whatever, I know 10 you just do it over, but say you cast it on 200 stitches with your long tail, and you get to the end, you think, dang, I don't know how much of a tail I'm going to need to do 200 stitches. And the problem is, if you are using a novelty yarn or something very precious, you don't want to waste it. And not so much precious as in the expense of the yarn knitted, but say you really needed every last inch of that yarn because you're limited for the project. I'll do it one more time, wrap it around, pull it out, put it back on the hook. Okay, now you can see this actually has, if I were to purl it and put it back on the hook, it would have the exact same ridge, but it's a good ridge. It's the same ridge pretty much as the other one. It's pretty undetectable when it's knitted up. If I purled it and put it back on the hook, I'll do that. Going down, wrapping around. I'm a picker, so wrapping's odd for me. Put it back on the hook. My loops are nice. Then I'm going to get the same, I got to go turn my locks down. Just a second. Set. If anyone was stressing over those locks, don't worry, they were, I have them on a double boiler. Like you were really worried. Okay, now I'm going to turn this around for lefties. Ah, you can see my face. Okay. I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to wrap it around, put it back on the hook, wrap it around, wrap it around, put it back on the hook, and as you see, this gives me the stretchy, firm, because technically I've knitted a stitch. Then that's what you get when you do the long tail. You knit a stitch as you are doing around your fingers. So there you go. That's another type of cast on. This is the one I learned as a child, and it's kind of a no-fail thing. It's just kind of tedious. So what I end up using it for, because I preferred long tail, is if I'm using a yarn that I have very little of, and I need to be sure that I utilize every last speck, or I do my long tail, and then if it wasn't quite enough, I'm not going to start 200 and some odd stitches over again. Then I'll do it this way. Now let's see if you can see. It's well, because it's a 3-ply, and it hit at a spot where it's going. You can see that it has the same ridge. And let me go, yeah, I am a picker. Okay, so as like usual with anything, the first row is the most difficult. These aren't very particularly pointy needles, so they're a problem. But I'm going to show you that it has a pretty good look, as opposed to that one that's like a blanket stitch where you just slip it over the needle. The tension on that is not forgiving, and it doesn't have the same stretch as the long tail does. I do love picking. If anybody needs a tutorial on picking, they call it Continental. That sounds much more sophisticated than picking. But I live in a fruit growing community, so picking doesn't have the negative connotations that, I don't know, it sounds picking. Sounds like tell your kid to stop doing that to their nose. Okay, so let's see. Anything? Okay, well, what looks peculiar is looking peculiar because it hit that point in the yarn, because I just did a knit purl for a rib, and I go again, which I'm sure you don't want to see it again. But, yeah, it has the same stretch. So if you find yourself with, it was one part of your long tail tutorial, and I have to go back for that. But I remember you were talking about needing to add on. And I don't remember if that was for some part that you knitted double. Look at, Natalie, I have, and I'm sorry. I really am. I have your hands. I have little stubby man hands. You want to know something? I tried one time getting fake nails because I thought, well, I'll go to a salon. I don't know the people there. It doesn't matter if I have iodine stains on my fingers because they don't know me. And I'll explain to them if they know what dipping a cord is all about. But anyways, didn't want them to be grossed out working with my hands. And you know what? Anyways, I had nails put on. And horrible, horrible, horrible. I was feeding my animals one time. I was grain. I always give them hay, but just for coaxing and training, I give them grain, or for breastfeeding, anyways. But, okay, I'm getting the rib there. You can see that this is right in the middle where it went from long tail to, I shouldn't have used a multi yarn there. I really like the Tweety. I know you don't like Barber Pole, but I like Tweety. It looks, yeah, anyways. But it has the same stretch because you technically did the, it's as secure. Okay, there you go. And, oh, but I lost it. I was feeding my animals grain and going, you know, happy day. Everybody's coming up to me, nibbling out of my hand. And I was using my hand to scoop into things, whatever. a nail was missing. Oh, I had a nail missing, and it ended up, there, I'll block in the light. It ended up that, I don't know whether my sheep ate the nail. So, fingernail, not a hardware nail. But so, it ended up that I have never gotten fake nails since, because I'm not willing to feed my, I don't want my animal's stomach getting perforated or whatever because of a fake nail. So we just go for the really nasty. Look, how's that? Oh my goodness, if you do enough other freaky things, they don't notice your hands. Okay, hope this helped. So you got another cast on. If you're finding yourself at the end of a scarf and you need a few more stitches, but twisting it and looping it over the needle isn't filling your needs. There you go. Okay, bye-bye.